All right, people are being notified. If you are watching this after the live, thanks for watching it on my YouTube. Thanks for being on my YouTube. Just waiting for folks to pop on. We're at a kind of funny time. It's 4 p.m. Eastern Standard. And part of the reason why this was going to happen at this time, hello people who just joined, was a scheduling thing that funnily enough didn't work out, which is fine. I will explain that in a moment. Hello. Yes, welcome to the live. I just started. Wow, and I'm matching. You see all this blue today? Like, what's up? So cool. Welcome everybody. I'm seeing some folks I recognize. I'm seeing some new people as well. Hello, Teeny. Teeny tiny. Cool. Hello, John. I just started this. I was gonna go live with Annette, and that has been rescheduled to next week because Annette was feeling was just getting over something, and my throat is like not 100%. I got like a little bit of nasal stuff, so we just agreed, just for safety's sake, that it would be better to try again next week. So I figured I would still come on and be live with everybody, just because it's been a long time since I did a live just as myself where I could talk to you and answer your questions and just kind of get into it. Hello, Caitlin. Yes, Caitlin. I saw Caitlin's one of my mods, and is also the volunteer coordinator for our conference, Sacred Spaces, in January. And that's happening in less than a month. It still hasn't hit me yet. A lot of things just don't really hit me until like I'm there. So we're just planning everything out. Caitlin's going to be helping us with our coordination and making sure everything runs smoothly. And if you haven't heard about that yet, that is Sacred Spaces Gathering. It's sacredspacesgathering.com. And it's just, I'm so excited about this conference. I'm co-hosting it with Liker of Words and Magic Spraken, if I'm saying it correctly, Crystalline and Emily. So yeah, they're all over my channel. If you look on my YouTube, they have shared lives with me, and we've also shared lives on Instagram. And our main thing is on Instagram for the conference as far as like where we're making posts. So if you're more interested in that, do check it out. But the website is up and we still have some tickets left. So if you want to beat the January blues and the sort of in-between holiday thing, and if you want to meet some incredible people that are all coming together to have a grounded, and I say that, grounded spiritual gathering, that is what that's going to be for. We are super excited. We are having Annette, who was supposed to join me today, is going to be joining me next week on, looks like Wednesday at noon Eastern Standard. I haven't quite made that event yet. But she's a life coach. We're going to have a therapist there, a paranormal investigator, one who focuses on astrology, spirit guides, ghosts, different levels of energy. We're having workshops. It's just going to be so cool. So if that calls to you at all, I highly recommend, please check out sacredspacesgathering.com. We would love to see you in Richmond, Virginia at the end of January. So yeah, thank you, Joanne, for saying that. Yes, thanks for being here, Sophia. Kiwi asks, how long have I seen ghosts? So an important distinction to make here is I perceive spirits. So very often people get this understanding in their mind like a medium has to physically see and physically hear, but we have a variety of clairsenses, and I call them clairsenses rather than gifts. So if we're talking about how long I've been perceiving spirits, most of my life. It's been an on and off journey depending on my level of how busy I've been and my mental health. And when we look at it in that context, that's basically in understanding how psychic senses work and how psychic language works. A lot of people have had a lot of experiences dealing with a variety of different frequencies of spirits. So give yourself some credit if you are interested in this sort of thing. If you're interested in understanding spiritual language, it can be taught. Pretty much everybody already has some sensibilities, just understanding the language. That's something I do go into in my consultations. I work with people one-on-one to better grow their language and utilizing information from their guides. I do get specific with guides. It's not just like, your guides say da 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 da. No, if you want me to get into the specifics, so long as your guides are willing and ready, I will describe as much as possible. So that's in Consultations, but I also teach. I teach courses. That's on Patreon. It's every month I offer a new course. I have workshops on Patreon. We have even social calls and opportunities to grow everybody's skills, that kind of thing. So if that is of interest to you, that is what that's for. Just want to put out there real quick, because some people are like, wow, you talk about your Patreon a lot. I absolutely do, because so many people are like, oh, I wish I could do what you do. And you can. And I try to make something as affordable as possible while still being able to make sure that my bills are paid, because if I'm going to give so much of my time and energy into filming, editing, planning, getting other speakers together, all that stuff, I do need some kind of energetic exchange in that. So that's why I mentioned that. And if that's of interest to you, the courses are $10 a month. So I do try to make it very affordable for people. I'm not even going to say most people, because I know the economy right now and everything like that is just wild. So, yes, get in on that Patreon. Thank you. How do you know if you even have a guide? If you're asking the question and you're interested, I'm going to say that you do. That's it. The only people I know who don't have guides are people who primarily work with their higher selves, or it's within a specific understanding, contractual understanding that they are meant to grow, perhaps with a deity, a higher self, or maybe even spirit guides who are incarnate at this time. But I'm just going to tell you, every time somebody's had a consultation with me and they're looking for spirit guides, there has not been a single instance where I haven't been able to find at least one. So if you were asking the questions, there you go. That's why I say, if you're spiritually curious, if you've ever thought like, oh man, I wish I could do that, or does that happen to me, does that apply to me, why not find it? You know, like, look for ways. So cool, good question. Hello. Let's see, is it bad if my crystal breaks in half? That might just mean it took a hit for you. I've had crystals straight up disappear without really any explanation, and I thank the universe and move on. If we're, like, for example, if we're using, I had an obsidian piece just like straight up disappear, no explanation or anything like that, but I was actively utilizing that obsidian for protection. It disappeared one day and I was just like, thank you for what you did. And I moved on from there. So, how can a muggle strengthen their innate human abilities? You know what the funny thing is? Nobody's a muggle. We are all magical beings. So I mentioned my Patreon before, certainly. I have a lot of resources on YouTube, which are open. I have so many resources. Look on the Q&A playlist on my TikTok. I create content to make people think. I create content because I want people to ask questions of themselves and to be able to grow. I also have some little bit sorts of things teaching different psychic awarenesses. The reason why I don't post those all the time is the algorithm doesn't really like them, and most of y'all are here for the ghost skits, so I do want to post more ghost skits. That's why on my Patreon I focus on the more educational element of how to grow your own skills. So hope that helps. Do guides know things we wish we knew but don't know? I would say so. It's kind of like prophecy. And not necessarily saying all guides are like prophecy, but it's sort of like, whether you're a spirit guide or incarnate, you can practice learning how to read where you're going. So, for example, when I talk about manifestation, we have to start somewhere to actively first change what's going on up here. So if you're constantly being like, nothing ever happens to me or nothing good ever happens to me, well, then it won't. Like, and I'm not sitting here being like, you have to be like, only good things happen to me, da 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 da. Sure, we can work with that. But I go about it from a pragmatic standpoint. So for me, one thing that I regularly say, especially if I'm feeling nervous about meeting somebody, because I am naturally an introvert, I will say the best people find me. And it's not, I go for the best people or this, that, or the other. It's like, no, effortlessly, so long as I'm aligned, the best people find me. So the more that I tune into that energy, the more I'm able to see how it comes back to me. But also, let's say I'm going out with a new group of friends and I keep, you know, I understand what the feeling of the best people find me feels like, and I'm about to like leave and go out with them, and then I say it, but it feels off. That could be an indication of maybe those aren't the best people finding me, or something like that. So yeah, spirit guides, there are some things some people will be predestined to do, and that's what spirit guides are meant to assist you with. Though it's very important right now, we are seeing a lot of free will with people, which is like super exciting, but that also means that, oh, what was that? Thanks, Blizzard Pearl. Yes, okay, now I know who you are because I saw you in a consultation this past week. So thank you, Blizzard Pearl. So yeah, the spirit guides just, they're kind of like managers in a sense, where you can still choose whether or not to go to work, but they're gonna have the information there on like, hey, we need to get this done by this time, that kind of thing. I hope that answers your question. It was like a big wrap around, but you got a lot of information in that, so there you go. Let's see. Red Flag says, someone brings me out of my nightmares, can't see their face. Yeah, that could very well be a spirit guide. That could be a variety of different figures in your life, kind of depending on, you know, who's around in your sphere. Understand, sight is not everything. As I mentioned before, we can see with our mind's eye, we can hear with our inner ears, we can claircognizantly know things. Like some people are like, I feel like a man is in the room. How did you know that? I don't know. That's claircognizance. Some people will feel, like clairsentiently, they'll feel something, or clairmotively feel something, they'll feel an emotion of something, such as if you wake up and you understand that you're safe, that is kind of emotional output, so it could be that. So yeah, remember, sight isn't everything. We've got all our other different senses. Just like physically, sight is not our only sense of perception of the world around us. Hi, Meg. Okay, I'm going back through comments. I want to see these since I'm actually able to super pay attention to comments right now. Focus on inner self and the name Osiris, if I'm saying that, keeps popping up. Hey, go with it. See where it leads you. Cool. I love that. If it comes out of seemingly nowhere and you're not thinking of something that leads you to that thought, could very well be spirit. Love that. From Teeny Tiny, what is the funniest reaction you've gotten from someone you did a reading for? Oh, that's a great question. That is a really great question. I will laugh at myself for a lot of things. It's just how I go about my life, I guess. I've had guides make fun of me, which is great. And I've had some guides recognize me and I don't even know who they are, which is just like really funny, where I'm like, what? And it's not just like they see their person watching me on TikTok, right? Like some guides will call me by another name and I'll be like, huh? And they're just like, I know who you are. And I'm like, cool, what does that mean? And they're just like, oh, you don't remember. And I'm like, was I asleep? Probably. So I do dream work when I'm asleep. I don't always know what I'm up to at night just because it's a long period of time and I gotta wake up in the day and do human day stuff. I will say the skit that I just posted, the most recent one about the nun, was pretty great. Also, Mama was really great. The nun who was a doctor, but by the way, I hinted to it in the video. She was very much more about loving women than having any interest in men. So once again, queer people have existed throughout the centuries. Let's see, yeah, the Mama story with a man. I was communicating with him, and I do 2 videos with that. I do like the skit version, but then I do the version that the client would see in a consultation, and that's a reenactment. But yeah, where I was getting pictures from him because he didn't speak English, which totally fine. That's not an issue. But then he's at a brothel essentially, and he looks at this like huge woman, and I say that like just praise, because I'm just like, yes, but like looks at this huge woman and then just like, mama. I was like, oh no, I don't think he means like mother. And that's what I was like, has this been like a kink or a fetish for like since the 1600s? I learn a lot in consultations. Most recently, the person who I was talking with in a consult did a lot of historical research on the area that one of their past lives was from. Now, I didn't know this at the time, so I'm like describing a culture that I'm not familiar with from, it was like the late 1800s, on like, where would that be in modern times? It's, I guess, close to Togo and around that area in Africa. I'm not sure what all the countries are around there, but yeah, I'm describing like a culture that I don't know anything about, and the client's sitting there being like, yep, that's a thing. Yep, that was a thing. Check, 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 check. So those are always really cool experiences as well. I love the validation that brings. Like, certainly any kind of person who's tapping into spirit, the coolest thing to happen is when you get backed up from history and psychology and science. Like, that's what we want. I think all of these various factors can actually play well together, so long as everybody comes from a grounded, open-minded perspective. So that's what I always want to go for. So that kind of answered your question. I'm sure if I look through my book, I could probably find some more things, but that would take too long, me being on a live, like flipping through my book. So, good question though. Frankie Surf, baby medium. I work only with the light. Can you give me advice for working with my third eye? Okay, so here's what I'm gonna say first. Gotta drink the dandelion tea so I can have my health. Anyway, that's not what I was actually going to say first, but here we are. So one fun fact, I am like, I do a lot of work with folks from the underworld. Why? Because I do a lot of work with death work, like psychopomp stuff. So first up, and I'm not entirely sure what you mean by the light. If you're just meaning it by like wanting to work with spirits who mean you well, excellent. Highly recommend doing that in any case. Though I do just want to point out, and maybe it's not entirely to you, maybe it's to somebody else in the chat right now. Light doesn't always mean good, and dark doesn't always mean bad. Shadow work is of the underworld. Think about that. So when we look at our shadows, we have to look at them, right? That is underworld work. There is balance in that. For example, every day the sun, or we see the sun in the sky, right? But it's, you know, the earth circling the sun. Sometimes the sun is at, you know, the highest in the sky at noon. Sometimes the sun is gone entirely. Now, what's the importance of this? Balance. So when I talk about what I work with, it's dawn and dusk. Why? Because personally, I want to be able to see how the shadows move in time and that sort of thing, so I can be aware of them. I'd rather be aware of them than act like they don't exist. That's what I teach. But anywho, as I said, I'm not necessarily saying like, and it's possible I went on a direction that wasn't necessarily where you needed to go, but hey, 100 people are watching right now, and this will be on my YouTube later, so I hope somebody takes something from that. So advice for working on your third eye. So when I think of third eye, I do think of clairvoyance. But I know some people consider that more broad, like third eye means all psychic skills. So I have to be very specific on different psychic skills, because when we're learning a language, we need to understand the differences from like nouns, from verbs to adjectives, right? Kind of like that. I hope I didn't trigger anybody who was like, oh no, grammar. It's easier than that. So in the concept of working with third eye specifically, if we're working with, like, as in third eye dealing with clairvoyance and inner eye clairvoyance. Easiest thing to do, daydream. Are you an active dreamer as well? When you wake up in the morning, write down whatever you can get. Or write down the feelings that you get when you wake up. Or just acknowledge them. Usually when I wake up, I lay there for 5 to 10 minutes and just sort of like comb through how I'm feeling and why potentially I'm feeling that way. Acknowledgement is going to be huge. So anytime you draw, anytime you make art, anytime you write, you can go next level simply by deciding to go next level. So, for example, if you have a dream, put it in the physical. How? Artist representation. Let's say you're like, ooh, art's not really my thing. I'm more of a stick figure kind of person. Cool. If that helps you make stick figures. Or we have so many different ways to make art online now. Do that. Or go on a place where there's a bunch of different artist representations, like DeviantArt, if I'm saying that correctly. Or yeah, let's go with that one and see if you can find something that represents what you saw in your dream. A lot of artists are channeling information, they just don't realize it. So sometimes people will get like on those sites and look at things and be like, wait, I saw that place in my dream. Coincidence? I don't think so. We're far more connected than we give ourselves credit for. So yeah, I hope that's some things. I've got more videos in my Q&A playlist, and of course I've got a whole hour-long course on growing clairvoyance on my Patreon, which you can access that, plus 140 hours of content in addition to that immediately just with the $10 tier a month. So if that is of interest to you. I went a roundabout way. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Just Lisa. Oh, awesome, Blizzard Pearl. You can feel it more since yeah, fantastic. So Blizzard Pearl had a consult with me only this past week, and I love that already things are growing for you and that guide. Oh, Frankie, even in videos, pick up on who's next to you and that what they're showing me. Perfect. I wouldn't consider that being baby medium, just saying. Besides, I'm not gonna sit here and like compare, because can I tell you, so many times people will have a consult and they're like, hey, I think I know who my guide is. And I'm like, great. And then they're like, well, but I'm not you. And I'm like, cool, I'm not you. I don't want anybody to compare themselves to me, similarly to how I don't want to compare myself to anybody else. So so long as you're being safe and you're working with what you feel is aligned. Also, I love I just looked at the thing and it was 111 people watching for a second. So long as you're only working with what's aligned with you, and you stop if ever you feel uncomfortable, and you are getting things that line up and that match up, what does baby mean anyway, right? I just say be open-minded, be considerate, be careful, all that. I would say to check out my YouTube, because I have much longer content where I go into places and do, they're not live reads because they're not on live, but a lot of them are unedited, so you can see how long it takes for me to read sometimes if I'm out and about and doing various things. I go out with other readers and other spiritually sensitive people, and you get to see how they process. We break it down, we explain it, and it's a chance for you too. I actively encourage people to be like, hey, comment what you're feeling. Here's a 30-second thing. Pause it if you need to, and comment what you get. You may surprise yourself. So I want people to open up. I want people to wake up. Like, it's exciting. The more people we have trusting themselves and their intuition, how cool is that? Plus, I think about all these people who are opening up. They're like, they have all these different kinds of careers. They're from all over the world. We have all these super exciting different backgrounds and educations and like genders, races, incomes, all of that. And if we're all tuning into something higher than ourselves, trusting ourselves, and also tuning into something like beyond ourselves with curiosity and kindness and awareness, dude, and if that lines up, how validating. We may have far more similarities with people we never even dreamed of having similarities with. But it starts with us, And it goes from there. Thank you, Blizzard Pro. That was a cool galaxy. So, let's see, popping through. Let me go back through some comments. How do you explain to someone that the Death Tarot card doesn't always mean death? Death means regeneration. So, not an ending. It's a transition. There you go. Even one of the things I love, Neil deGrasse Tyson talked about, the astronomer, and I have a high respect for him. He, from what I've seen, just an incredible human being. He was asked about life after death, and he was like, yeah, it's an energy. And now it's not so much getting into the soul, but it's getting into the energy of the consciousness. It's getting into the energy of our bodies, the circle of life, if you will. So yeah, death card means transition. Doesn't mean end. Even so, I mean, what is an end anyway? You know, I think that's an important question to ask ourselves. Like, are there actually ever ends? Or is it just regeneration? Something to think about. Good question. Oh, excellent. Thank you for subscribing to my YouTube. How do I know if I really do connect with ghosts? Asked by Sra. You gotta start somewhere. I have had this question for me personally before I was publicly like, hey, I talk to folks. So I feel where you're at, right? For the longest time, I was just having experiences and just not really acknowledging them or not really talking about them or not really know who to talk to about them until I started talking about them. And the cool thing about that was so often other people would have experiences too. And how do you explain that away, you know? So talk to people, utilize the folks that you have in the physical to see if they feel anything. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you need to come on strong and be like, hey, there's a ghost here. Do you feel the ghost here? That might freak somebody out, honestly. But the way that I kind of slip things into conversation sometimes is being like, woo, have you ever been here at night? It's ever like a weird feeling? Or do you ever feel like you're being watched? Now, they could easily be like, no. I'd be like, okay. But that doesn't necessarily mean you need to like close up and be like, never again. There are ways to kind of like slip it in to kind of be like, is this person I can talk to about this? Like, we'll see. I'm fortunate because I'm in a very haunted location. I'm in Wilmington, North Carolina. We are one of the most haunted places in the southern United States. And anytime I go downtown, one of the old businesses, anywhere below 5th Street, it's pretty easy if somebody's living down there, if somebody works down there, to be like, hey, you ever seen anything down here? So often, if somebody's ever had significant time, especially if they've spent time in a building alone, they will be like, yeah, I saw a shadow. You know, there you go. Another way to ask is just be like, cool, do you have any idea who it is? Or like, do you get any feelings like a woman, man, something like that? A good example of this, so when I was first meeting Molly at 24 South, I wasn't like soups out of the closet as far as like what I could do, because I was still figuring out how I was doing what I was doing. The manager there is a friend of mine, and I had just met this ghost, and I was like, whoa, that's effing wild. And I wasn't sure to talk to my friend about it because, you know, I don't want to freak her out, right? We had never had the conversation of spirit stuff before, and I went up to her and I was like, hey, if I were to say I was picking up on a woman ghost from like the early 1800s, would that be like really weird? And she was like, huh, yeah, I thought there was a woman ghost here too. Now, would my friend necessarily describe herself as like psychic or medium or anything? Last time I checked, no. But we all have intuition. We all get these feelings of like, I feel like a woman's in here, or I feel like a man's in here. Maybe that's a dog or something. So cross-reference with people. I mean, we are a community-based society. So let's use that. I'm gonna pop through the comments. Hello. Oh, thank you, Witchy. Oh, my necklace. Thank you for saying that. This is actually, speaking of Molly, that was the spirit I was talking about in 24. This is the Molly's Night Out choker. It's part of my collaborative jewelry line with Lala Lotus Co. She's also a reader on my team now. She does lovely readings. Thank you for the roses. Top gifter. Hey, that's cool. Okay. I can't keep up with all like the other things, but when I see them, I will. But yeah, this is the Molly's Night Out choker, and these are the Molly's Night Out matching earrings. All of them are made by hand by Lauren. She is absolutely phenomenal. I loved working with her, and the way that she stood out was she actually gifted something to me years ago after I met with her in a consultation. And the jewelry she sent me, beautiful job, but also it was so clean. It didn't come with any kind of residue or anything like that. And it just stood out to me. And then like about a year later, I was like, hey, would you want to make jewelry inspired by some of the ghosts in my skits? So this is what came out of it. So if you're interested in that, you can actually go to my website, look under merch, and these are for sale, and she makes all of them by hand with love and all the good energy, and she puts Reiki into them. And yeah, I love wearing it, and she's got one too, so it's super cool. Ooh, Sarah says you have the Rupert protection bracelet. Absolutely love it. Yeah, I was wearing mine earlier today. Yeah, so I love the bracelets too. I actually just had a bracelet commissioned for myself and my mods. It's been a hard year for all of us, and we've all persevered together, and I'm super grateful to have them in my life and supporting me as they do. Some of them are in the chat. Thank you so much for being here. But as a winter solstice and winter holiday sort of gift, I commissioned Lauren to make us matching bracelets. So we have like friendship bracelets, but they're beautiful. I showed that on, I think, the last live that I was on. Oh, I feel that. Raven says, I'm still surprised when my intuition is accurately correct. When you can change the surprise into that is so cool, I hope you get to that point. I feel like you will. That's when it changes, when it's just like it's not even that you need validation all the time, but it turns into this sort of like in real time. Wah! Like for example, after all of my consultations, there's a 10-minute follow-up. And the reason why I do that is I don't want to just like read into people's stuff or like talk to their guides and give them homework or like check in with their ghost or whatever I'm doing at the time and then just be like, cool, hope it works. So the 10 minutes is time at another time. It's included in the original consultation fee. And it's just to have a check-in, just to be like, hey, how's it going? Did you try the homework that I gave you? How did that go? How are you feeling? Yeah, I've really enjoyed doing those. That's where I've been getting a lot of my validation because, oh, thanks, Kat. Yay. Not all answers will immediately come up in session. I always encourage people to, oh, thanks, Donna. I encourage people to journal about what we talked about, and then in our follow-up, we can talk about more later. So, anywho, one of the cool things that happened this week, I had a follow-up with somebody. She wanted me to connect with the ghosts in her home. She lived in an old family home, well over 100 years old. If anybody's watching from Europe, you're going to be like, that's not old. You are correct. But for the States, it is old. Or at least in traditional housing in the States, it is old. So she followed up with me, and the coolest thing happened. She said that she was able to get validation on how I was describing one of the inhabitants there, because one of the living people that she knew that inhabitant and was able to also confirm how they were sitting, where they like to sit. But also the coolest thing was when I was seeing that area, I was seeing from the spirit's point of view, and the spirit's point of view was seeing it, or with preference, seeing it from, I think it was about 80 years ago. So I was describing what the house looked like 80 years ago. And she was just like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it looked that way 80 years ago. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, I won't focus on it unless you want me to, but that's kind of how I'm seeing things, like where the hallways were lined up and like there was a larger sitting room and like some windows and that kind of thing that the spirit was talking about. Well, she comes back for her follow-up and she just confirmed. She was like, hey, I thought you should know you were right. And I was just like, fantastic. So So it's always really cool when that happens. I'm always really grateful to talk to people about when that happens. The bigger thing though, the thing that makes me even more excited is when people come back to me for their follow-up and they say, hey, I tried the thing that you suggested and it worked. That brings me so much joy. I love it when people get their own validations, because that's what we should be doing in our life. We should be looking and seeking for our own storylines and how we grow. So that's stuff that I do in my consults. Oh, thank you, Dana. Have I ever connected with animal spirits? Yeah. I've also connected with other inhuman spirits, like otherworldly creatures and that sort of thing. Yeah, I actually, my dog Mira, who passed a few years ago, I actually have some ghost skits on seeing her, and last time I checked, she still kind of hangs out with Jimothy, though I also understand, oh, thank you, I see the earth, that's the part I see of your name. Yeah, Mira's spirit may be regenerating now, so I'll be curious. I not just myself, but other mediums have seen where some pet spirits, oh, thank you, I am Razzle. Some pet spirits will reincarnate as other pets with that person throughout their life. And yes, pets can absolutely be a kind of spirit guide. Mira was in part a kind of spirit guide to me because she was in my life to help me get out in nature, which is something we really enjoyed doing. And in getting back out in nature, I was able to take a better understanding of my mental health and grow my spiritual health as a result. So yeah, so many things on the necklace. Thank you. If you want your own, go to my website, go to merch. Lauren makes all of these with love and care, and she just does such a wonderful job. This is the Molly's Night Out necklace, made with Molly. I remember I invited her over and she chose how she wanted to appear. Go figure, this was a popular style in the early to mid 1800s. I didn't know that at the time. It was just talking with Lauren, who makes all these, and like Molly wanted a choker, she didn't want something long, and then only to find out later that this is a nod to the historical period that Molly would have been a part of. Validation. So cool. Thanks for all these hearts and stuff. Thank you, thank you. Oh, awesome. MP says, I'm seeing some things in my house the last year, and my cousin came down from another state and validated it. Excellent! Congratulations. Oh, thank you. All these gifts and stuff. Thank you, thank you. User and a bunch of numbers. I've seen a lot of spirit lights as a kid. It kind of stopped as I turned into a teen. Yeah, that's what we do sometimes to fit in. Also, if you were dealing with some mental health things, even if you were just like sad, which like honestly, I was really sad as a teenager. Whenever I see happy teenagers, I'm just like, you're doing something right that I wasn't able to figure out when I was your age. So no hate there. But yeah, we get conditioned into society. So understand, if you've seen them in the past, you can open them up again. And you can do it at your leisure, at your own kind of timing kind of thing. It doesn't have to be like all of a sudden, bam, I see all the stuff now. Typically when I work with people, it's if you're overcoming some kind of like block or shield or something like that, it's usually a little bit over time, because otherwise it would be like really shocking to you and you might shut it down again. So that's something I work with people on consultations on as well. Ooh, other question. Is there anybody on the readers team that could help you with scrying? Ooh, actually a few folks. Sorsha doesn't offer it, I don't think, for deity stuff, but I know she knows how to scry. I scry, and I think Catherine scries as well. Now, are we teaching necessarily? I don't know. I'd say, if you do have general questions on scrying that don't necessarily involve me tapping in psychically, if you want to book a quick chat, one, it's a lot cheaper. Quick chats I offer because I want to encourage people to do their own work, and if they have questions on troubleshooting or direction or something like that, that's not necessarily me connecting to your folks, that's what quick chats are for. I wanted to offer something that typically is available sooner than some other things, and we can just talk about this stuff. So often people are just like, hey, I just want to talk about my ghost stuff. And I'm just like, I'm here for it. Book a quick chat so that way you save money. I wanted to offer something that was more affordable. If people are wanting to put in the work themselves, I want to honor that. And so that's why I have a variety of different kinds of offerings that I do, as well as the Patreon and the courses that start at $10 a month, where you can get access to a whole year's worth of courses for just $10 a month right now. So doing what I can to give back in whatever ways that I can. And I'm very fortunate to be able to do that. My Patreons are a huge part of how I'm able to do things like this in like the middle of the day and make my own schedule and be able to give back the way that I am. So basically what I'm essentially asking is a little bit from a lot of people so that I can give to even more people, whether they can afford it or not. So yeah, hope that answers your question. Hello. Yeah, book a quick chat. I'd love to talk to you. Books I'd recommend. Ooh, speaking of scrying, okay, the Llewellyn Publishing, and I'll show you this real quick. Enjoy my leg. Okay, so Llewellyn is a publishing company. They look like that. Sorry, it's fuzzy, but that's what they look like. All of their things, their covers look really boring. I'm just gonna say it. However, the content is really good. So go to Llewellyn Publishing, look at their stuff, see what you're drawn to. They also have a book on scrying, so would recommend. In fact, I forgot that I had this book. Okay, I actually have the book on scrying. And I got all kinds of notes and that kind of thing. One thing with this, as with any book, right? What I didn't like about this book was it was so regimented to the point where I felt like I was applying limiting beliefs to myself. So this is when I say with any book that you read, take what resonates with you. It's okay if not everything resonates with you. Like, I'm writing books right now. If everything resonates with you, cool. But if you read something and you're just like, I don't know about that, that's okay. That means you have free will. That means that you have opinions. That means that you're an individual person. That's beautiful. I want free thought. So same thing with psychic development. There are a lot of different tips in here and tools and that sort of thing. That being said, some things in this book I really liked. Some things in this book were not good for me. There's this one exercise of going down into like an elevator into your mind and like seeing the worst things, but like locking them away. And I was like, I don't think that's right for me. If they're on lockdown there, they're already locked down. I really don't need to visit them. If they come up, if my spirit team brings them up again, that means they're not locked down. But everything else, I was like, I'm good. Maybe I did the exercise wrong. I don't know. But yeah, these are 2 Llewellyn books. They also have a bunch of other books on spell casting and different practices, and they talk to a lot of different people about them. So would recommend. Doop-a-doo. Let's see. So I guess instead of recommending books specifically, I will recommend a publishing company. Ooh, Katie has been pulled on Llewellyn Publishing in the past few weeks. There you go. Thank you, Razzle. Cool. Thanks, Caitlin, for being up in my chat and answering questions. Excellente. Andrew, do I ever plan on visiting Nashville? Says your parents, old lady spirit as the original owner. Oh, how cool. I'd love to visit Nashville, but it's not really on my radar anytime soon. So if that's something you really want to dive into, I do offer consultations. All of my consultations are online because, hey, that means we all get to just like zoom in and I get to see your pets. Pets always bring me joy. And yeah, the good news is with psychic stuff, spirit is everywhere. It's not like space and time don't matter in spirit. So you can be there and I can be here. I think the farthest person away that I ever worked with was in South Korea. I also worked with somebody who was in Australia. Worked with somebody from the UK this past week, Scotland actually. And oh, thank you for the gift. I think I saw Twin Play, thank you. And yeah, and I work with people primarily all over the United States as well. So if that's of interest to you, I love talking to some ghosts. Love talking to some ghosts. I love talking to a lot of folks, but ghost, spirit guides, yes please. Otherworldly creatures, non-human entities, let's go. That's my bread and butter. Shout out to my readers team, because I realized that I'm not here to be able to do everything incredibly well as everybody else. So if you're interested in past loved one connections, Catherine on my readers team is the person to go to. Catherine also does a variety of things that I also do, but their schedule is sooner than mine. Sorsha works with deities and figuring out different deity connections, how to work with them, who might be calling to you, that sort of thing. Then we've got Lauren, who offers Reiki. Doesn't have to be in person, can be from afar. Lauren also reads Oracle. And Matt is also new to the team, reads tarot, connects with ancestors and spirit guides, larger spirits, higher selves, that kind of thing. Primarily for messages from them. I know they're still working on growing their specificity with who they're talking to, as we all are. So, and there's that. And then of course there is Krista as well, who is an emotion coder and a body coder. She's incredible, absolutely incredible. Her videos don't do her enough justice. Like, I am just blown away with the stuff that she can do. So, yeah, it's one of those things. On YouTube, I have some videos with her, so if you want to check those out, you can kind of see what I'm talking about with emotion coding. But yeah, all of those folks, if you want to learn more about them, are on my website, and they are the people that I go to when I need guidance. And I go to some people outside of my team, obviously. Like, there's some people that I like don't know anything about my situation that I trust and I go to, but so often people will ask me like, hey, I need somebody to look into this in the next few weeks, or I want to look into this specifically. Can you help, or do you know somebody who helps? And so I got a team together, so I have a lot of somebodies who can help. So if you're feeling called to that, please check out my website. All my links are in my bio. They're the readers team. And I also have a video pinned on my TikTok, Instagram, with them and what they do, and so you can kind of get a vibe for who they are, and you can follow them if you like and ask them questions yourself if you want. So cool. Someone that does Reiki certification, you have Reiki 1 and you want to get Reiki No. Lauren would be the one to talk to about that. I don't know if Lauren teaches though. So if it can be worked from afar, message Lauren. She's Lala Lotus Co. She also made this necklace, which I've said a few times. And thank you for the compliments, all of you who've been saying that. I appreciate that. Oh, yay. Cool. Lid Klein, if I'm saying that correctly. Both Catherine and Sorsha are awesome. Yay! I have to agree. Cool. Thank you for helping each other in the chat. Super appreciate that. Shout out to Caitlin, one of my mods. I see you all over the place. Let's see, just going through. Reiki is energy work. Reiki is energy work to help you have energy be able to move around more. I did a live with Lauren, but you'd have to kind of dig for it on my YouTube. But I did a live with her where we talked a bit more about Reiki, because I know I did not do justice to explaining that just now. I also do energetic healings, but it's not through a specific practice. It's open practice energetic healing. I also do like removal of things that just don't need to be there anymore. Sometimes they can be like buildup of gunk, that sort of thing. I do so many things now. And you know, I have to say, I'm so grateful for the early, like the OGs who booked with me, because y'all really didn't know what you're gonna get. And to be honest, I wasn't totally sure what you're gonna get either. And that's why my prices were so low back then, because I was just like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Let's go. so many of you taught me what it was I could do. And I remember in those early sessions, so often people would be like, hey, I don't know if you can do this. Can you look into this for me? And each time I'd be like, well, we'll see. So it's been a really good like litmus test to understand what my skill sets are. And it's also been a good test for me to get more comfortable with what I'm here to help people learn about themselves. My absolute bread and butter is teaching. It's teaching people how to hone their skills. So that's my primary thing on my team. Though in teaching that, I can also, you know, give you a good head start, being like, hey, this is your spirit guide who's saying that they work with you on this, and this is what they look like, this is where they're from. Thank you, Mindy Lou. All depending on how much the spirit guide wants to give me. It's very consensual in that regard. But yeah, other things, I do a lot of stuff now. So if you want to check that out, check out my readers. It's RebekahTheGhostGuide.com/all services, and that's what I offer. So big thing though, if you look at my services and you're like, huh, looks like Rebekah doesn't offer that, scroll down and see if one of my other readers does. If they offer it, that means that they are better than me at it, okay? I never want this idea out there of like, Rebekah's micro-famous, that means that she's the best. Like, thank you, but no, that's not how it works. I mentioned this earlier when people, oh, I just saw the count, it's 1, 2, 3, love that. All these cool numbers that are popping up, I love this. I never want people to compare themselves to me, because everybody has a variety of different psychic skill sets, and it's just understanding your language on how to grow those skill sets. There are people out there who are better than me, and I want it that way. That's how it should be. Because why not? The world is beautiful. I never want to sit here at the top and be like, well, because I have so many followers, that makes me a blah, blah, blah. No, like, what? Oh, wow. I also just saw 136. I love this. I don't always put a lot of stock in numbers, but I love that I keep like looking up at the count just like randomly and being like, cool. Anyway, let's see. It's a spectrum of skills. Absolutely. Thank you, Blizzard Pro. Hello, Jenny from Oregon. I was out in Oregon in October for my friend's wedding. Went to Hood River. Then went to Portland. Oh, yay. Thank you for saying that. If I'm saying this, Antoinette, with all the animals following that, empowered me on my journey. So thank you for that. I'm happy to have helped you in whatever way that I could have. So thank you for sharing. Sophie, I think my guide confused you. I mean, probably, it happens. Was that one of those smoke guides? Because I've run across a few guides who like run and they're just like smoky and they like try to mess with me and I'm always just like, okay. Or like elemental guides, I run into those sometimes too, where they're like, I am the wind. And sometimes they do say that point blank, and other times they're like, whew, and I'm like, are you moving? Are you something? Can I, what? So, fun times, fun times. Razzle from Florida, very cool. Blip of Peony Blossom, that's cool. Celtic Air Earth Dragon, yes, thank you for that, yeah. I don't mind being the butt of a joke for a guide. Honestly, typically when that happens, it's to help bring confirmation to who I'm talking to. Because once again, I never want to like sit on this like pedestal or something of all guides have to treat me with a blah, 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 blah. No, I'd rather guides treat me the way that they're treating their people so that their people feel validated with what they're dealing with. Plus it's fun. I also try to work with individuals on best understanding their psychic skills so I can explain to them how it works in real time. So yeah, I love doing consultations. Like every day is different, and I get back to it tomorrow, and I've got more on Friday. So if you've ever felt interested in that, you want to just hang out with me for half hour or like an hour, or you know, an hour and a half if you are interested in it's called a soul journey reading, where I go into a bunch of different past lives, and I can give you homework too on how to look into those past lives more yourself. I did one of those this past week as well. Who was that I was with? Because we just had a grand old time. If you're watching, you know who you are, because we kept like popping off. Like, we were going in all these kinds of roundabout ways, and then I was like, and past life. And then it was just like, and past life. Blizzard Pearl, you were one of them. In fact, you weren't the only one. Because there was somebody else with the same vibe, and I was just like, cool, I am past life. Ginny says, I have a guide who seems to hold my past lives energetically. Interesting. How to book a consultation? Through my website. And, you know, this will probably be the last thing that I say just because I'm kind of tired. Not from you. I need to rest this week. And that's been an energetic forecast that Emily put out as well. And one that I did for my Patreons as well. It all very much lined up. Resting is good this week. So be good to yourselves. But anyway, how to book a consultation? Always through my website. Always, always, always through my website. So I say that seriously because I will never DM you for a reading. I will never say, hello, darling, I felt drawn to you from the stars. I don't say stuff like that. So yeah, I will never DM you for a reading. If anybody DMs you for a reading and they say that it's me, it is not. I am not in my DMs at all, because it's a safety thing. It is a safety thing. So please block and report anybody who does that. That's in my bio as well. So yeah, please be safe out there. I also did a recent live with Emily where we talked about the energy of lives. That is up on my YouTube if you want to check that out right after you end this one. And this live, if you're just popping in, this live will be up at some point in the next few days. I'm not going to give myself a deadline because there's a lot of content up there that you might want to check out if you like what I'm talking about. Haven't seen my videos in a while. Yeah, I know, the algorithm's been really funny. So if anybody's also watching this and you're just like, oh, does Rebekah still post? Yeah, I do. You are welcome to go through my page and give me some likes and give me some comments, because that is how you tell TikTok that you want to see my stuff again. So I appreciate all of you watching. This has been fun. And I'm glad that I was able to do more of a one-on-one. And I should be back in a week at noon Eastern Standard with Annette. She's going to be talking to us how to become the goddess within us, which, if it sounds like fluffy language, I thought so too. And then I started taking classes with her, and oh bud, has it been incredible. So yeah, anywho, yes, have a great rest of your day too. Absolutely. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Thanks for joining. And looking forward to seeing more Rupert this year. Yeah, I try to give him a private life nowadays. He asked for that, so I'm offering him some, yeah. He wasn't so much into the fame after a while. He was very much like that. That being said, I would love to have him on a live. Just saying. Which I think I could work out. Just saying. Because it's been a really long time. Like, he popped on a live from the Railroad Museum. Not the most recent one, but the one before that. He popped in, and some of the spirits were like, whoa! And then some of the people watching were like, whoa, who's that? It's like, that's Rupert. He's done some leveling up, which has been like very good, very proud of him. So yeah, all right, y'all want the Rupert live, got it. I also want to check in with Jimothy and Fanny. Yeah, I'll be doing that at some point as well, so that y'all can answer, or y'all can ask questions, and some of you are in tune, so you can see what you get as well. But yeah, I will say though, everybody's doing really well. I'm giving them space and some more privacy. We still check in from time to time. Rupert more than the others, but Jimothy and Fanny, I do like to give a lot of space because they're just having a great time in their little spirit house. So yeah, anywho, yeah. Cool. Well, everybody, you take care. Thanks again for joining, and maybe you'll catch us on YouTube, or maybe I'll catch you on my next live. So cool. Thanks.